Hi and welcome to Totally Holistic Health, and today I'm going to share with you a really lovely yoga practice just to help build strength in the body. I know a lot of yoga practices tend to build strength in the legs and things, but you do need to obviously consider that a lot of stronger yoga practices can actually involve sort of like arms, using arms quite a lot more. So we're going to do a little bit of strengthening in the arms, a little bit of strengthening in the core, and obviously just really helping build strength, so it makes it easier for your yoga practice to sort of like develop really, because you do have to have that sort of strength, and the underlying strength is obviously the groundingness as well, but actually having building up that strength is really important as well, and it's a really good, a bit of a good workout, although we're not actually using it for those purposes. So to start off, we're just going to release the shoulders and the neck a little bit, just to give us a little bit of leeway in the shoulders, just so we can do a bit of movement in there. So first of all, we're just going to bring the chin down towards the chest. So again, just making sure that you can feel it's more of an extension of the spine rather than just stretching the back of the neck at all. So you might find that using the breath, you can just sort of breathe into it if there is any restriction in there. And also just checking into the body and seeing how that actually feels there. You might find that there's a little bit of restriction in the lower back even, or in the shoulders, but just having that awareness is really important. And then we're going to just roll the right ear onto the right shoulder. And again, just being aware of restrictions maybe in the neck or also in the shoulder as well. I know I sometimes find that it's a little bit tight in this sort of area, the trapezius area. But also it's really nice just to make sure that you actually draw that shoulder away from the ears, just having that lovely lengthening on the left side of the neck. And then just turning the chin, so the right chin is looking over the right shoulder. And then drawing the chin back down to the chest. And then rolling the left ear onto the left shoulder. And again, just being aware of how that feels, whether there's more restriction on one side than the other. And again, just using that breath, just see if you can have that lovely length and bringing those shoulders down the back a little bit, just having that lovely length in the right side of the neck. And then again, just turning the head. So you're looking over the left shoulder a little bit more, so you can be using these muscles here on the back of the neck a little bit more. And then rolling the chin back down to the chest. And then bringing the head up. I'm going to do some nice shoulder rolls just to release the shoulders a little bit. See, they're really clanky feeling like mine are this morning. And the other way around. Wonderful. Because we do tend to do quite a lot of strengthening stuff, or either using the strength of the arms, it's quite nice just to release the wrists a bit, because if you do have issues with the wrists, these can be quite strong. So we're just going to do a few stretching, just to stretch out the wrists a bit. And obviously when you're doing the practice further on, if you need to take a break and just release the wrists again a little bit, that's absolutely fine. So you can just sort of stop and just do some wrist stretching. So we're just going to bring the arms out in front of us. Again, just stretching the fingers nice and wide. Bring the palms so they're facing the front. And then maybe lowering the hands so the palms are facing down. Also, you can increase that stretch just by getting hold of the fingers and just seeing if you can just stretch them back a little bit if that suits you. If it hurts, don't overstretch. Again, just listen to what your body's telling you. If it's saying that that's too much, then just sort of be aware of how that feels. If you've got issues with RSI or carpal tunnel or something like this might be quite uncomfortable, and this probably isn't maybe the best practice for you, but there are alternatives which I'll go through shortly. And then we're going to bring the wrist down again, just feel that lovely stretch on the up side of the arm. And again, a lot of this is also to do with strengthening the wrist as well as strengthening the arms and the core. So again, you know, strong yoga practices can be quite strong in the wrists. So again, doing these just to help release is really useful. And it's quite nice to do if you're sort of stuck at a desk as well. You can do things like this as well. Okay, so we're going to come on to all fours. So again, try to make sure that you have your equal weight in both hands, and your hands are underneath your shoulders. And also try to make sure that you actually push away from the floor, so you're not sinking into the shoulders at all. You're really grounding down but pushing away and growing out to that floor. and also making sure that your knees are hip width apart. Okay, so we are going to do a little bit of core work, but again, just be really mindful if you've had any sort of abdominal surgery or you know, if you're postnatal, it's probably not a good idea to do these as well until you've actually had checks and stuff to make sure that you're actually all knitted together properly. So we're going to have a lovely strong base, and then we're going to push the top of the feet into the floor, okay? And then just see if you can raise the knees up by about a couple of inches. So you're hovering. Again, pulling the belly back to the spine, keeping the breath nice and strong. And again, just see if you can hold this, you know, it's not like a competition how long you can hold it up. If you need to come down, it's absolutely fine. And then lowering yourself back down and maybe just pushing back into a pose of a child just to give you a little bit of a rest. And also maybe just releasing the wrists a little bit if that suits you. And then coming back up. Again, knees underneath your hips. Hands underneath your shoulders and pushing away the floor. So maybe try again. Again, you can do this as much as you like, but just be really mindful of how that feels. And if you've done too much, then obviously just ease out of it a little bit. So pushing the tops of the feet into the floor. Raising the knees by about 2 inches, hovering tabletop, keeping the breath steady. And lying down, bring the knees slightly wider, and then coming back into a pose of a child. Really enjoying that lovely stretch in the body as you're releasing down into the floor. And also to increase the stretch, if you just maybe want to come onto the fingertips, it just changes the dynamic of the stretch in the shoulders. And again, it's really nice. And then very gently coming back up. So we're going to keep the knees nice and wide now. So we're going to bring the left hand maybe just underneath the nose or slightly further away towards the middle of the mat. Then bring the right hand up, rotate round to the right. If you've got issues with the shoulders, you might just want to keep your hand on your hips. Rotate that round. Opening up the chest. And then we're going to bring the right arm through that little gap. And just see if you can bring your right ear onto the mat next to you. So the right hand is nicely stretched out there. Now what you can do is just bring the top arm over the head. And you just use that to push yourself around a little bit more. And again, this is a lovely stretch in the shoulders. And if you want to increase that stretch a little bit more, what you can do is just straightening the left leg. And again, a really nice rotation. And then releasing back down, unthreading that arm, coming back into a tabletop. So we're going to bring the right hand into the middle of the mat and then just maybe slightly forward of the head. Bring the left hand up, rotate round to the left, or you can keep your hand on your hip if your shoulders are a little bit on the restricted side. Again, just opening up the chest round to the left. Threading that arm through the little gap. And then bringing the left ear onto the floor. And again, you can stay here if you want to. Again, there's no sort of pushing yourself or being competitive. It's just how you feel at this particular moment. So again, this is absolutely fine to stay here. Or if you do want to, you can straighten that leg. And just enjoy that lovely rotation. And then very gently coming back out of that again, just coming back into a pose of a child just to relax, rest down. And then coming back up again. Now if you do have issues with the knees, obviously we are on the knees quite a lot, what you can do is just fold the mat back a little bit so you've got a little bit of extra padding, or pop a blanket underneath those knees because it is quite strong on the knees. So now we're going to still stay in all fours, but we're going to just rotate the wrists around a little bit as well, because it's quite nice to strengthen up the wrists. So we're going to turn the wrists so they're facing inwards, or the hands facing inwards. And maybe just rocking backwards and forwards. Again, if this is sore, don't do it. It's also telling you something. And then rotate the hands the other way so they're facing outwards. Okay, just watching, don't lock the elbows though, because if you hyperextend the elbow, that's not good for your elbows either. So okay, just rocking backwards and forwards. And then even more weird, I'm going to turn the hands inwards. So I'll probably rotate them outwards. So we're going around that way. And again, just very gently. This is really strong. So if you've got issues with your wrists, I probably wouldn't try this because you might do more damage. But again, just if your wrists are feeling okay, you need to stretch them out a little bit. This is actually quite nice. It's not quite so easy to move them the other way around though, so you're facing, so they're coming inwards. That's a little bit more, well for me anyway, it's not quite as easy, but again, just being aware of how that feels. Okay, and then coming back into sitting, and again, just releasing those wrists a little bit more, and just being aware of how that feels. Okay, so now we're going to be coming onto our forearms. So we're going to release the shoulders a little bit more. So we're going to bring the hands or the shoulders, or sorry, elbows sort of level with the chest. And maybe just knock the knees back just a little bit more. Okay, so we've got a couple of options with this one. So we can stay with our knees down and then just bring the weight into the elbows. So you've got like a very gentle plank here. So we're going to just make sure that you sort of keep the belly pulled up towards the spine. And then drop the head down towards the floor. And again, just really enjoy that lovely stretch in the shoulders, moving backwards and forwards. Okay, so that might be all you want to do. It's quite strong. But if you do want to challenge yourself a little bit more, what you can do is just coming onto the toes. So you're more in a dolphin pose. And again, bringing the weight into, just in the feet, bring the weight into the arms. Nice plank. Push back, and back into a plank. Again, keeping the belly strong, pushing the heels away. There we go. And then bringing the knees back down and just pushing back into opposable child just to release those shoulders a little bit. And again, you can just bring your arms and rest your head on your arms. You can bring your hands by the side of your body just to rest down a little bit. And again, just enjoy that lovely sensation of just resting down. Again, just giving your body a chance to just take in what we've actually done and just restore itself a little bit. And then coming back. So we're going to come now into a downward dog. Now, downward dog is quite a nice option because you've got loads of different things that you can actually do in a downward dog. Again, to strengthen the arms, but also, you know, there's lots of different alternatives that you can do to make things easier for yourself. So we're going to go into a slightly more stronger version. So again, if you do have issues with wrists, what you might want to do is just fold that front of your mat up a little bit. So again, make sure that the heels of your hands rest on that little bit there. So just lowers the angle a little bit, so it just takes the strain off your wrists. So if you do have issues with wrists, I would probably consider that, or maybe not do this at all. But the main thing really is also making sure that your fingers are really widely spread and your elbow creases are facing inwards. And make sure the pressure actually comes into the fingers rather than into the heels of the hands, because it just takes the pressure off the wrists a little bit. So again, making sure that the knees are underneath the hips. So we're going to curl the toes under and push back into a downward dog. And again, just adjusting the hands and the feet, maybe walking the feet out. So lowering the left heel, bending the right leg. Lowering the right heel, bending the left leg. Just walking them out, just stretching the back of the legs. And pushing. And just letting the head release a little bit if you need to just rock the head from side to side. Brilliant. Okay, so again, it depends on what you want to do in terms of stretching out. A couple of alternatives is to release the right hand and just see if you can grab hold of the back of the left calf and just rotate round to the left. It's quite strong in the left arm, so be really mindful how that feels. And releasing out of that, releasing the left arm, grabbing hold of the back of the right calf and again rotating round. Really strong in the arms, so if you're not strong enough, that's absolutely fine. You will get there. And again, coming back into a pose of a child, just to rest out a little bit. It's nice just to have a little bit of a space to rest between each bit really, and it's just quite nice. There's no competitiveness about it. Just do what feels good for you. Again, if you do need to come up and just release the wrist a little bit more, again, that's absolutely fine. I mean, you know, just really go to your own pace. You might just want to stop there and not carry on, but we've only got this one, maybe one more move to do now, just to see how you're feeling. So back onto all fours again. So we're going to come back into a downward dog. Wonderful. Okay, stretching out the back of the legs, making sure the hands are nicely spread onto the floor to protect those wrists. Okay, so we're going to bring the left heel down, or as far down as you can. Bring the right leg up into the air into a three-legged dog. Then we're going to bend the right foot towards the bottom, really opening up that hip to the left, or to the right, sorry. Back to centre. Lowering that foot down. Bring the left foot up into the air. Bending that knee so the left foot goes towards the right bottom, and again opening up that hip to the left. Come back to centre and then come back onto the knees, and again come back into a pose of a child, just to rest back and just maybe circling the wrists. That feels good for you. Stretching away. And just maybe spending some time here. It's such a lovely restorative pose. It's also quite nice if you've got a blanket or a cushion you can hug onto. It's just really nice just to let everything settle down. And then it's also nice, you know, just make sure you do take care of yourself. Obviously shoulders, you know, it's strong on the wrist, it's strong on the shoulders. Just be mindful throughout the day of how that feels. Don't overstretch anything else really. Also, you know, you can only do a little bit if you want to. You can just do a couple of those moves and just leave it and then come back another day just to try something out. So again, it's not a case that you have to do the whole sequence. It's just really just a chance for you to build up some strength in the arms, just to release the wrist a little bit, and also just to release those shoulders a little bit. But I'm hoping you'll enjoy this nice little practice, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Take care, namaste.